Hello everyone. In this series of tutorials, we'll learn Python. It's a very popular language and everyone should learn this. Not because everyone aspires to be a software engineer, but this language can help you automate your mundane tasks. So in this session, we'll just focus on the environment things. That is where you should run your code, how to run the code. Basic customary hello world that is required because that's the first thing you learn or do when you get introduced to a new programming language, be it C, C++. Hello world is the very first program that you should run. And we'll talk about some peculiarities with related to Python. Okay, so let's get started. So the very first thing I want you to introduce is Python Anywhere. Python Anywhere is a service that allows you to host web projects actually. But don't worry, we'll focus just on running Python code. We won't diverge into anything complicated. So create an account on Python Anywhere. The free service. There are paid plans, but they don't ask you for a credit card or anything. Just create an email account, then create a Python Anywhere account using that email. A verification email will be required, will be sent from Python Anywhere. Verify that before you jump into this. Once you have verified, this is something that you would see. So you have dashboard, consoles, files, web, tasks, database. Go to the consoles tab. There might be or might not be a list of consoles here. And if it is there, just cross it out. It will kill the console. Once you have nothing in here, let's start this. So you have Python 3.8, 3.7, a lot of number. Whatever it is there, just go and click on bash. Once you click on bash, you'll be moved to this black terminal. You're not hacking into any system. It's just a bash execution environment. This will allow you to run Python code. If you're unable to see, let me zoom it a bit. Okay, let me confirm. Yeah, we have our console ready. It might take some time. Before that, let's just go to dashboard, and we have, if you see the tab over, it says there is a number 3087. Corresponding number should appear here, and if you go to consoles tab, you should have over here. So if you close this by mistake or anything, you can come back here, just click on this. It will take you to the exact state where you are. Okay, so let's zoom it. Listen. Okay, this should be good enough. Yeah, some more. Yeah. So there are two things that are environment related. So this is a shell, bash shell, in which you will run Python code. So Python 3 is the command that you run to get into an execution environment of Python. So these are the sort of prerequisites or steps, I would say, to get into an execution environment of Python. If you run this and if you don't get 3.8.0, that's okay. Maybe you are watching this in future and there might be a different version over here, but understand this. This is an exact thing that you will get if you install Python on your local computer. But that requires you to identify the system that you're in and download the correct executable and do those things. Here you didn't require to do any of the things. You can get started in less than 3 minutes or maybe less than a minute if you already have an account with Python Anywhere. So with that environment things done, let's talk about Python. Python is a very simple language and pretty straightforward. There are no semicolons or quirks in the syntax that a normal beginner will have to, memorize. It's a close to a human being and rather than being close to a machine. So printing things on the screen is the very first thing you should learn in Python, because print is the simplest directive. If you say print, it says it's a built-in function. We'll come to that function part, but print is a built-in thing. There are different versions. If you might have observed, there are different versions of Python. You go to this consoles and you see there were multiple versions here. I have created 2 terminals, so it does not allow me to create. Okay, never mind. But there were different versions: 3.8, 3.6, 3.5, 2.7, 2.6. I'm not sure about 2.6. But there are different versions. But majorly, there are 2 versions: Python 2 and Python 3. Both of these are really different, and you should never work with Python 2 if you are starting today. So Python 3 is the, most widespread version that is used. Python 3 makes some changes into the underlying implementation, and it is high performant. Okay, so to print something, you have a print function. Use this as a first step to print hello world. So this is how you print hello world. So print parenthesis, in between those parentheses, quotes, and in between those quotes, the message that you want to print. If you say this, you have hello world in there. Now another thing is about indentation. So space is treated as a indicator or as a command to Python or the Python program, that if you say space, that means that programmer wants to separate this code. So it is more clear if you see this part. So if I say x equal to 1, and if we'll write x equal to 1, now if I do a tab, it moves. I say hello world, x is 1. So if I change the value of x, it doesn't print. So Python uses indentation for blocks instead of curly braces. This is relevant if you are coming from C, C++ or Java background, even JavaScript. So there, in those 3 languages or 4 languages, you use curly braces as their block separation semantic, whereas in Python you use spaces as a block separation semantic. When I say semantic, it's just a fancy words of saying format. So if you are so far with me, try and print, say, we have said hello world, try and say goodbye. Pause for a moment since you are following along, just try and print goodbye. Awesome. And with that goodbye, let's end this session.